A few years ago, my son was diagnosed with ADHD. And that's why I'm saying it's emotional, because if you know the topic, you know how impactful it can be. You have a super bright kid that is not reaching their ability, getting frustrated, losing confidence, and reading about the outcomes and what can happen if you don't treat ADHD is just scary. And then I go to the doctor. I learned that the most proven tool treatment is medication. But they tell me start with a low dose and tell me how it's going. What does that mean? Oh, just ask him if he concentrated or ask teachers. That didn't seem right to me. I did some research. I saw that there's a lot of work around ADHD. There's some around coaching and management, that's the top left here. Some around pharmaceutical development, getting measures for clinical trials and developing new drugs, and quite a bit of work around diagnosing ADHD. But none of those helped me because I don't want to diagnose them 3 times a week. That's not the right solution. I need a tool to make it possible to actually measure, do the titration process, measure if it's working. It has to be quick, it has to be easy, it has to be from home, and there was nothing. So that's why we created iFocus. Who's we? We are 3 female founders. My background is a PhD in physics, but I like to say I'm a non-technical co-founder. My expertise is developing products. I did a lot of work in biotech and medical devices before this, mostly in hardware. But my strongest expertise is solving complex problems and figuring out solutions. Dr. Einat Sitbon is our CTO. She's an expert in data science and machine learning. And Ravit Lozinski has expertise in product development. She has an MBA from Duke concentrated on health and a BSc in computer science. Guy supports our commercial background. He's a repeat founder, and Geetha helps us with regulatory. I'm showing this advisory slide, although we have limited time, because we have an amazing advisory team, 4 leading clinicians that are super supportive. Just yesterday, we had a webinar with Dr. Glenn Elliott, who's an expert in ADHD. We have experts in the business as well as technical experts. We have launched our product. It's so exciting. A couple of months ago, we have our first real users, which we're working with to iron out our user experience. Our first product is 510(k) exempt. We can get revenue without going through FDA. We do expect to go through FDA later on, and I can elaborate if it's interesting. Our AI algorithm was developed based off data from an IRB-approved study with 100 participants. I'll show you the data in a few slides. We have a patent pending, and we have agreements with clinics serving over 4,000 patients here in the Bay Area. The responses from the clinicians are off the charts, as well as from users themselves. So what are we doing? We realize that it's all in our eyes. Here you can see how a successful high schooler that has ADHD reads without the medication. Now we're using the eyes to see where they're looking. And that's the extent of eye tracking. It's not some magical word. Just use the eyes to see where the person is looking and see how hard they're working. This is what it means to try harder when you have ADHD. And this is the same person with their medication. The difference is striking. And the interesting part is when I show this to researchers and clinicians, there's no question that this is the right thing to look at, because we're looking at actual performance of what the tasks that we need to deal with. It's not some manufactured, clean test that might be better for diagnosing. This is seeing if there's improvement for the actual person with the tasks they need to do. So what is our product? We're using the web camera we're all using right now to analyze eye movements and look at the reading processes. We're working with a partner who has expertise in this space, and we have exclusivity to the eye tracking technology. There is no need for any calibration, just turn the computer and it works. We have a proprietary AI algorithm, and the outcome is the report. And we developed this report with our clinician advisories, to make sure we get the trust of the clinicians and it's easy to use and understand to everyone. So on the left side, you see the outcome from the iFocus measurements. Then you see the self-report, where patients report how they feel that the medication works and side effects. This means we're adding information. We're not taking away anything, which is super important to get engagement and support from clinicians to recommend this to their patients, which is happening. This is an example of how our tool or product helps people figure out which treatment works. Here you can see the results of a certain patient for 2 different medications. Now, these are the results for this specific person. There's no statement here about which medication works better. And in this measurement, you can see that the Ritalin works better for this person. So they can see it easily. They can share it with their clinician. Instead of doing this guesswork, what do you think? What did you feel? Ask the teacher and figuring these things out, we can actually see the differences. Now, the next question is, how do you know you're looking at the right thing? How do you know this really works? Since we're all coming from the sciences, we are relying on data. It's not assumptions. And we had a study with 100 participants. These participants were all diagnosed with ADHD, and according to the gold standard, they had good treatment, meaning they are stable with the same treatment for 6 months at least, and they're reporting it's working for them. That's the tool we have. And here you can see the differences in scores between these participants with and without medication. The lower graph is the same data, but here we connected the dots for each patient. And you can see that for 90% of the users, we could measure improvement. So for the question, is reading the right thing to look at? For 90% of the users, there was a correlation between reporting the medication is working and the reading changes. Now, I want to highlight, we are comparing each person to themselves. We had participants with learning disabilities. It doesn't matter because they compare to themselves. They don't need to compare to the general population. And that's what makes this product accurate and easy to use. So we have a product, we know people want it. We know there's a huge pain point. Now for the money part, right? You need to know that there's also money in it to succeed. So looking at the ADHD market, there's a reason that there are so many startups in this space. There's a lot of money, $124 billion cost of illness in the US. What's interesting is if you dive deeper, you see that most of the cost is not treating. It's not the medication. It's what's happened in this trial and error process when you fall on the error. It's additional treatment, therapy, education cost, and so on. So improving the process of finding the right treatment, making it more accurate and faster, will reduce the cost to our estimate by $50 billion. And that's our impact on the market. Now, why would people want to use it? Sorry, Twitter is not responding. Sorry. I don't need to explain why parents and patients want it. It's a huge pain point, and everyone wants to solve it. Clinicians are super excited about this, and we're talking to dozens of them, because in the current market, there is an extreme shortage for mental health clinicians. So they have wait lists of many months. They only want to be more efficient. Follow-up care, talking with reassuring parents, explaining how do you know the medication works, and all this complex process is not efficient. And they're eager to solve this issue. Payers would want this because we're making it possible to get people the treatment with less appointments, less expert appointments, and make it possible for the primary care physician to manage this in the same way they do so many other conditions once you have the measurements. If there's a blood test or any other test you can do and the doctor knows good or bad, usually you don't need anything beyond the primary care physician. And that's where the market is going. In terms of our go-to-market, we're starting with a B2B2C strategy. We're working with the clinics that are recommending us to our patients. That gives us the white coat effect, getting trust from the patients. It reduces the cost of acquisition compared to going direct to these patients, and it's faster revenue. Now we're talking about clinics that are out of network. A huge part of ADHD care is out of network because of this long lead time wait list that we talked about a few slides ago. So we are already working with these clinics to launch the beta, and we are seeing this why that they're interested. Down the line, we want to change the standard of care. There is no question about it. There's no reason to have care for such an impactful condition rely on subjective feedback only. And we're going to work with insurance. Their immediate incentive is to reduce, as I said, the number of visits. We'll show them that we're actually achieving that using the data we're collecting from this first stage. So right now we're at the beta stage. We're working to improve product market fit and user experience. The next stage will be to scale in a similar model, working with more clinics and some employers. And that will give us the data to reach the insurance. At this stage, our revenue model has an initiation cost for $200, which is significantly less than a single visit, which is upwards of $500 per visit, but high enough to be considered a medical device. And we want to make sure our product is not another app. There's too many apps that promise things. We're a medical product. There is a recurring cost because treatment needs changes as children grow. And there are other, and I don't have the time to go into the details, but there are other benefits that we can offer if you know your kid is actually doing well. And it raises a flag for concerns, but I can talk about that later. So we're now raising a seed, $1.5 million, to cover us for the next 18 months, get us to 10,000 users and FDA approval. Now I want to highlight why these are our goals. This is a fast-moving market. We want to show traction. We want to show that we are going to be the next gold standard and increase our valuation and set us up for exit down the line. So that's the goal, to get to the point that it's clear that we are the next gold standard. Thank you.